Admissions officer slash essay coaches of Reddit. What was the most pretentious application you've ever seen? My GFS brother wrote his essay about how his two dumbest high school friends had impacted his life the most out of everybody. It was terrible, but it became worse when he replaced every few words with the help of a thesaurus. It was barely coherent and read like an English professor experiencing a stroke. We begged him to let us help, but he refused and, not surprisingly, did not get accepted anywhere. Not pretentious, but I had a Chinese student write in their application, "I hardly ever waste water, paper, or ice." Presumably he was conflating economics, the degree subject being applied for, with being economical. He also said that he had found a phone and had returned it to the owner, even though he was Russian. A whole essay about how it had long been her dream to study at the prestigious University of Leicester and all the incredible gifts life would bestow on her for living her dream, in an application for a university that was not Leicester. My best friend was salutatorian of her class of 600. She only applied to one college, and it was an Ivy League. She is an upper middle class white girl who plays the harp. She wrote her college essay on being a jet setter. It pains me to say that she was completely shocked when she got flat out rejected. I worked in a very religious private school's admissions department for a few weeks, filing applications. The parents had to write a letter about their child and why the school would suit them. I'll always remember the man who wrote 3 pages about how successful a businessman he was, how he owned several businesses, how good he was at the school's main sport, and then attached a large check to the last page. Not a word about the kid. What'll I remember most? The rejection letter from the principal with a thinly veiled insinuation that bribery was immoral and not acceptable at this school. I got to interview some students for a special program in my undergrad. It was highly competitive and lots of people wanted it. Young woman comes in. I offer her a seat. I'd prefer to stand. This won't take long. It won't? No. My dad is the dean of one of the colleges, and my mom is one of the professors who established this program. In getting in, I emphasized that she really should take a seat. She refused again. So I say, hey, this interview, me approving you is part of the process. You have to do well in this to get in. You'll say I did well, or my parents will make life hell for you. Her parents had zero impact on anything in my life, and I told her as much. After articulating this to her, I said, I'm going to give you a chance to walk out the door and restart this interview. Fresh start. She lost it and yelled at me for like 5 minutes. I filled out the interview sheet with direct quotes from her tantrum. She didn't get in. A few days after decisions were made, I got an email from her father, who was, in fact, a dean. He asked me to come in and have a chat with him. It was totally a request. I went to talk to him. When I went to see him, he had a copy of the interview sheet where I had several direct quotes from his daughter. Some of the quotes were awful and directed at me, my family, and basically everything she could hit on. He apologized profusely for his daughter and asked if she could redo the interview. He was leaning on me a bit at this point. I told him that choices had already been made and she was not selected. The whole thing was mind-blowing. She was so entitled. Not an admissions officer, but I was part of an admissions committee when I served as faculty at a wonderful university. One admissions essay compared his act of applying to the law school with that of a Palestinian child facing oppression. The closing line was, bravery comes in many forms. A Palestinian child picking up a stone against illegal occupation, and me writing this essay. Both are comparable. Still haven't forgotten it. Edit. Thank you all kindly for your feedback and upvotes. Had never shared this story with anyone before. Glad I had an opportunity to share. Being a professor is weird and amazing. Oh, the stories I have. I went to space camp on a scholarship program after writing an essay to get in. One of the kids in my group, who time and time again proved he wasn't smart enough to write his own essay, bragged about how his mother wrote his and he didn't even want to be there. Messed up on both their parts to take away an opportunity from someone who actually wanted to go. Doesn't quite answer your question, but we recently had someone we had rejected for our most competitive course MLS. He said that he regretted to inform us that he was unable to accept our rejection and would see us on the first day of the course very soon. Wasn't exactly a coach, but in my junior year of high school we peer reviewed each other's essays, and the guy I got paired with, who was sending this to MIT, made the assertion that I'm an asset to your institution, for when I'm wildly successful I will be sending money back to the school through charitable donations. I will also give your school incredible amount of publicity. When I'm interviewed by the press he didn't get in. I used to do a little recruitment from time to time for a large cruise line based in the UK. I once had an application through where the applicant's CV was literally him asking himself questions and then proceeding to answer them. It reads something like this. So, you're probably thinking, who is this guy? Well, I'm a hard-working individual who isn't afraid to go above and beyond. Why go above and beyond, you say? Well, I believe the customer always comes first, etc. You get the idea. Not an admissions officer, but I have evaluated placement essays for first year writing, first semester, second semester, or in rare cases, tested out completely. I remember reading one about how selfies were important because of such reasons as so people can know where you are, and if you travel you can use them to take pictures of monuments and landmarks. This student essentially, though I'm not sure intentionally, made the argument that every picture that is taken has to be a selfie, and if they weren't in the picture it wasn't worth anything. I put them in first semester. Edit. Wow. Thank you for all the upvotes. For clarification, this occurred during the summer of 2014. Based on the content of the paper, it was made clear that this person thought the only function of the phone camera was to take selfies. There were also a fair amount of mechanical errors along with a lot of logical errors. I used to help out with auditions for the acting program at my school, and one girl came in with her *SCENTED* resume. Before she walked in, the head of acting was like during the interview, do not mention the resume. She was not a good actor. The scented resume was clearly something she thought was cute and charming enough to score her some personality points. Nope. I used to tutor at uni and helped occasionally with my TT's applications. One thing I always encouraged them to do was to mention their aspirations after graduating and to mention why specifically *THIS* university. One kid, who'd been a pretentious ass the whole time, actually wrote in his essay that he didn't really care about the academic part because his dad was just going to give him a job when he graduated anyways. He chose the unis he was applying to based on how impressive they sounded and how good the party life was. I kept in touch with his sister. She was super smart and studied the same subject as me, so I helped her out with career advice etc. Later on, she dropped into conversation later with a noticeable bit of glee that her brother was going through a challenging patch because his father informed him that no, daddy was not going to give him a free ride into a cushy job and did expect him to get a real job. Edit. Since you all love the word 2T so much, allow me blow your tiny minds. Ready. Mentor. For me, it's the students that disparage the very ones that provide their application support. The kids that bash their coaches for not starting them for X Games, or complain about their teachers who give them too much homework. Meanwhile their ex and coaches are writing about how great this kid is. Never a good look. Edit. Whoa, this is my new top comment. Had no idea it was my cake day. And also source, former admissions counselor. Thank you all. Obligatory, not an admissions officer, but my senior year of high school, we read our college admissions essays for our English classes. One student's broad topic was admirable. He wrote about ageism, and that it was sad that it stopped people from doing the things they loved. Young people should knit, old people should rollerblade, stuff like that. However, the actual bulk of the essay was him describing how much he loved to play with stuffed turtles. He got into a highly competitive university with that essay, but mostly because his parents worked there. Letter simply said something along the lines of, "Let me an X-hole named after grandpa. He donated a ***t ton of money, so this letter means nothing." He was right. Got right in. Oh, I have one. A longtime friend's mother reviews applications at an elite college. I saw her recently, and she was telling us about some of the essays. One was from a girl who clearly came from a background of great privilege. She described a day of shopping and dining at swanky places with her parents in the big city one day. At the end of the day they came across a homeless man sitting on the sidewalk begging for money or food. She initially passed him by, but then, seeing the American flag flying on the corner up ahead on the next block, remembered what this great country of ours was built on, as well as what life is truly about, and went back to give this homeless person her restaurant leftovers. All described with much self-congratulation. I'm paraphrasing a lot of it, but the part in quotes is exact, and will likely be repeated for some time to come, accompanied by chuckling, by my friend and me. The country was built on, and life itself is about, giving a homeless person your half-eaten burger and fries. Edited, glad, most people shared my disgust. Couple of details to add in case people are curious. For those wondering, the applicant was indeed offered admission. Also, this school is known as pretty far left, and not especially likely to get excited about the American flag and its power to inspire. So weird thing to bring up, but she did get in, so. When my friend's mom told this story I tried to think of the total lack of perspective I had at 18, and, well tbh, 20, and 25. To give her a pass and not judge. I couldn't, though. I judged. In fairness I imagine I'd cringe if I saw my college application essays, and I do not intend to ever look for copies of them. I'm a college admissions consultant and the worst one I've read was a full meter essay about how much the applicant loved college admissions and writing admissions essays. It was arrogant and aloof throughout, but the kicker was when the student called herself an elite applicant with outstanding admissions essay skills right there in the essay. I felt sorry for her because it felt like the stress of the process had given her a Stockholm Syndrome obsession with it. I tried to bring her back to reality gently, but she wasn't having it. She didn't get in. Obligatory, not an admissions counselor, but I was a master's student who helped a family friend's high schooler edit her college admission essay. The prompt was something about the greatest struggle they've experienced that made them who they are. Her response? My greatest struggle in life was that I was too academically advanced for my age, and I was not challenged enough in school. Yikes. I was considering making a throwaway, but it seems I will be buried enough to not need it. I read as an admissions person for a competitive national fellowship that helps students study abroad. The last essay I read that day made my job very easy as this person was all over the place, bragging about being a religious hippie, how his parents were missionaries, so he already had a global perspective, how he writes the best poetry, everyone considers him a leader. These were all one sentence, and indented as new paragraphs with absolutely zero elaboration. The cherry on top, his closing, was literally saying that he could work in the private sector or government when he graduates, and the choice is yours. I was like lol, okay, private sector, thanks. If anyone is reading this looking for advice on what not to do, general rules are, avoid quotes. It is fine to have idols and talk about them, but quotes take up valuable space and word count, and it's not even your own words. Better to make a subtle reference to it, or talk about the meaning of said quote, and why that inspires you. Show, don't tell. It is a waste of time saying I went to X for experience without talking about what you learned from that experience. Otherwise it's just a meaningless non-comment. Hobbies, don't just put reading. It's nothing special to say you read, as if it makes you different, and links into the above point. Talk about what genre, what you've learned from it, and how it will help you going forward in the role. Somewhat pretentious, or perhaps just plain weird. I had an individual offer me money to write an application essay which was about himself. He had to have some sort of balls. Husband of a friend of mine went to a prestigious college for grad school, where his father happened to be an alumni *A&D* hold some sort of executive position. Dad not only pulled all kinds of strings to get son in, but he wrote his essay. This guy isn't at all ashamed and loves to mention his alma mater in passing conversation. This is actually a difficult mom story. The student was a nice kid with decent grades, so an easy admit, but with a very average scholarship. I can see from his app that they are very well off, and they didn't even file the FAFSA, which is a telltale sign that they don't need the help. So a while after I admit the kid, the mom calls me to ask for a higher scholarship. I ask her if her son retook the ACT/SAT. Since he submitted his app, the only reason why we'd reconsider a scholarship. She says no. Okay, so there's no reason for the scholarship committee, ACME, to review his scholarship then, and it's obvious that she's only asking for the bragging rights. I'm very nice about it, but I make it clear that we're not increasing her kid's scholarship. She goes off on me, telling me that clearly I must not know the quality of private school he goes to, which I'm very familiar with, and that I don't know how much money they have. Her reasoning was that they are rich, so we should give him a better scholarship, and then they'll donate money to the college. Not only did she pull the favorite line, "Do you have any idea who we are?" but she also tried to bribe me with his family financing a new building on campus. Direct quote, "I don't think you understand me here. The school where my daughter goes to has a building named for us. Don't you think my university name needs a new building on campus?" It was the most bizarre and entitled conversation I've ever had with another human. Long story short, I didn't bump his scholarship and the kid enrolled anyway. Psychiatric nurse, studying for PhD, didn't know what dementia is. Having now fully woken up, I realize this doesn't really fit the criteria, but may fit the spirit of it, so have left it up. Interviewed a locum who applied for a job in a community mental health (MH) team that specializes in diagnosis and support for people with dementia. She was a qualified psychiatric nurse with an advanced degree, and studying for a PhD. Her CV was impressively full of achievements and innovative work, such as setting up and running a cafe for people with MH problems, and had apparently got an award for same. She turns up for interview with dog hairs all over her dirty clothes, hair unbrushed. This would not have been an issue particularly if she had actually been able to give a definition of dementia, or had known the name of any of the standardized tests every MH professional would know, and used at least one. She also couldn't tell me any of the medications used to mitigate the effects of dementia, although there had been a lot of controversy in the news about the NHS allowing them to be prescribed. At that time, we didn't employ her. Another team did, however. A few months later she was asked for interview again. My bad. We were very short staffed, and there were a couple of us going through the myriad of CVs sent by agencies. Also the CV showed employment by this other team. I go to get her from the waiting room. She looks up, her face fell, and she just said, "Oh no." Anywho, because she now had some experience, we interviewed again. Nope, nope, nope. After the interview I called the other team. She had been so awful they decided to never employ agency staff again, which was short-sighted of them. A lot of agency staff are amazing, but you need people who can hit the ground running, and therefore must interview thoroughly. I saw an LSAT writing prompt that started with the line, "Hitler had a few good ideas. Really doesn't matter what you say after that." It also had absolutely nothing to do with the prompt. Edit. For clarity, the LSAT has a prompt that consists of some group trying to make a decision between two mundane options. Your goal is to argue for one option over the other. That's it. In no way, shape or form did the scenario have anything remotely to do with Hitler, nor did this person pick one of the sides. He simply wrote an essay about Hitler. Have fun not getting into law school. As a senior who has just been rejected from practically every university I applied to, this thread is making me feel a bit better. Not me, but my wife reviews these. On an essay about an impactful event in your life, the kid wrote about being born. Like the actual act of coming into the world. Not sure how much this qualifies as being pretentious, but how much more obvious could it be that one of his parents wrote it? And how mundane is your life that you choose birth as the most impactful event? And how does this set you apart from any other candidate? Self. I wrote about how anti-intellectual religion was. I don't even remember the prompt. That was what I was writing about no matter what. Every other word was a thesaurus drop-in. Jesus asterisk F asterisk asterisk KING asterisk Christ. It was bad. Make sure to like and subscribe for more daily content. Thanks for watching.